As Obi ventured deeper into the woods, a voice suddenly echoed around him. "Obi, my son, do not be afraid. I have been with you since before you were born," the voice said. Startled but encouraged, Obi felt a surge of courage flow through him. With a wave of the voice's hand, Obi felt an incredible power coursing through his veins. His muscles grew stronger and his senses sharpened. "Go forth, Obi, and conquer the lion," the voice urged. Filled with newfound strength, Obi continued his journey through the forest. His steps were bold, his eyes focused on the task ahead. As the sun began to set, he finally caught sight of the lion. As the lion spotted Obi, he let out a thunderous roar, its eyes blazing with fury. But Obi stood his ground, unbothered and brave. With a steady hand, he raised his spear, ready to face the beast. The lion lunged at Obi, its claws slashing through the air. But Obi moved with lightning speed, dodging the attacks and striking back with precision. With each blow, he felt the power of the voice guiding him, giving him strength and courage. Hours passed as Obi and the lion battled beneath the shadowy canopy of the forest. The sounds of their struggle echoed through the trees. Despite the lion's ferocity, Obi refused to yield. He fought with all his might, fueled by determination and knowledge. Finally, with one final mighty blow, Obi struck the lion down. The beast let out a final defeated roar before collapsing to the ground. Obi stood victorious, his chest heaving with exhaustion, but his spirit soaring with triumph. After defeating the lion, Obi took some parts of its body, the heart, nails, and eyes. When Obi got home, he went straight to his room. Amandi and Rafatu followed him, asking where he had gone. Obi told them everything that happened. They were surprised that he went behind their backs, despite their warnings, but they were also happy that their brave son has defeated the lion. That has put so much fear on the villagers. Obi and his parents got dressed and went straight to the king's palace to share the good news. Before they left, Obi then asked his parents where his brother Chuka was, but they said he had already left home, and they didn't know where he went. As they arrived at the king's palace, Obi's father explained why they were there. After hearing everything, the king was overjoyed and said he couldn't keep this good news to himself. He called for all the villagers to gather, and he delivered the latest news to them. They were shocked that a young man like Obi could defeat the mighty lion without any assistance. While the villagers celebrated, Chuka suddenly appeared from nowhere, saying, "My king, your majesty, don't believe what my brother and parents told you. I killed the lion. He is lying." The king and the villagers were confused, unsure of who to believe. The king then asked Chuka to take the guards to where the lion was. When they arrived, they noticed some parts were missing. Unknowingly to Chuka, Obi had already told the king and the villagers that he took some parts from it. As soon as they saw the lion, the guards immediately knew that Chuka was lying. He was dragged to the palace, pleading for mercy. The king, seeing the truth, praised Obi for his bravery and honesty. The villagers cheered for Obi, grateful for his courage in protecting their village. The king, true to his word, announced that Obi will be the second in command, and asked him to choose one of his 5 daughters as his bride. Obi chose the youngest daughter, Princess Chika. This angered the eldest daughter, Princess Ada. She had always harbored feelings for Obi, but never had the chance to express them. In a fit of jealousy, she stormed out, leaving everyone surprised. The king, surprised by his daughter's departure, urged the villagers to focus on the reason they were gathered at the palace. He then fixed a date for Obi's coronation, which would also serve as his wedding day to the princess. Obi and his parents thanked the king for his generosity, but as they were about to leave, the king ordered his guards to take Chuka to the backyard for punishment for lying against his own brother. Despite Obi and his parents' pleas for mercy, the king remained firm, insisting that Chuka must be taught a lesson. Heartbroken, Obi watched as his brother was flogged mercilessly by the palace guards. The pain in Chuka's eyes only fueled his hatred for his brother, growing deeper with each lash. Feeling a mix of emotions, Obi returned home with his parents, troubled by the turn of events. He knew that despite his newfound status and happiness, there was still unrest within his family. When Chuka got home, he was furious with Obi. He stormed straight to Obi and exclaimed, "How dare you walk away when the king's guards were mistreating me? Why didn't you do something? Or is it because of the little position he promised you?" Chuka's voice was filled with anger. "What are you even talking about?" Obi replied, confused. "Didn't you hear when we were begging the king? Or were you deaf? How dare you talk back at me, Obi? Remember, I am your elder brother, and you dare not speak to me in such a manner." Chuka's anger only grew. "Let's see how you will become the second in command," he said, his tone threatening. "What do you mean by that?" Obi asked, puzzled. "Let's wait and see," Chuka replied ominously before slamming the door shut, leaving Obi feeling troubled and unsure. The next day, Obi was shocked to find Princess Ada in his house. "What are you doing here?" he asked, surprised. Princess Ada apologized for storming out of the palace the other day. "I'm sorry for leaving like that," she said softly. She then confessed she felt jealous when Obi chose her younger sister over her. "You never told me you liked me," she said sadly. Obi shook his head. "I don't have feelings for you, Ada. I like your sister," he explained gently. Feeling rejected, Princess Ada started screaming for help. "Help! Obi wants to harm me!" she shouted, scared. Chuka heard her cries and rushed out, grabbing Obi by his trousers. Instead of calming the situation, Chuka began shouting loudly, calling the villagers. Before Obi knew it, he was surrounded, beaten, and taken to the palace. Amandi and Rafatu begged for mercy, but no one listened. When the king asked what happened, Princess Ada falsely accused Obi of wanting to harm her. The king, furious and disappointed, ordered Obi to be locked up in the palace cell. Obi tried to explain, but nobody listened. Feeling hopeless, Chuka spoke up. "I told you, Your Majesty, that the little boy is not who you think he is. I was the one who killed that lion, but you people didn't believe me," he said sadly. As night fell, Obi sat alone in his cell, feeling betrayed and scared about what would happen next. Obi remained locked in the palace cell despite his parents' pleas. The king remained unmoved, vowing to keep Obi imprisoned for 6 months. The day of the coronation arrived, and to everyone's surprise, Chuka was crowned the second in command. He stood tall, with a solemn expression, ready to serve the king with all his might. In a twist of fate, Chuka chose Princess Ada as his bride. The villagers gasped in astonishment at the unexpected turn of events. Chuka made a solemn promise to the king and the kingdom. "I vow to serve you with everything within me," he declared, his voice echoing through the courtyard. As Chuka and Princess Ada stood together, ready to embark on their new journey, Obi watched from his cell, feeling a mixture of sadness and disbelief at the turn of events. 2 months had passed since the king had given half of his village to Chuka. However, to the surprise of the villagers, Chuka's behavior took a dark turn. He started taking people's land and punishing anyone who dared to question him. If someone spoke up, he would take their wives and make their husbands his slaves. The village was in total confusion, and whispers of discontent filled the air. Word of Chuka's bad behavior eventually reached the king's ears, and he summoned Chuka to the palace to address the accusations. When confronted, Chuka boldly declared that he couldn't be controlled. He asserted that the land was rightfully his, shocking the king. "You dare speak to me like this?" the king thundered, in disbelief. "I raised you up, and I can bring you down." But Chuka, feeling empowered by his newfound authority, stood tall before the king. "You have no authority over me," he said boldly. "You can't order me around like a child. I own this land now." With a heavy heart, the king realized the grave mistake he had made in placing such power in Chuka's hands. As Chuka stormed out of the palace in a fit of rage, The king sat in silence, consumed by regret. Realizing his error, the king immediately ordered the release of Obi from his cell. As Obi stepped out into the sunlight once more, the king humbly apologized for not heeding his pleas. "I forgive you, my king," Obi replied graciously. "I knew the truth would come to light eventually. Thank goodness you now see the true nature of my brother, Chuka." When Obi returned home, his parents were astonished to see him. They had expected the king to keep him locked up for months. Amandi and Rafatu were overjoyed, and they prepared a delicious meal to celebrate his return. After they ate, Obi recounted the harrowing tale of how Chuka had plotted to kill him while he was in prison. He shared how he had been saved by a mysterious voice that warned him not to eat certain foods. Then, one day, a maid begged him not to reveal a secret. She confessed that Chuka had paid her to poison his food. Obi's parents were shocked by this revelation, and they immediately wanted to confront Chuka. But Obi calmed them down and told them that there was a time for everything. He urged patience and caution, knowing that they needed to plan their next steps carefully before confronting Chuka. When Chuka returned home, he shared with his wife Princess Ada the king's words and the promise to take back everything he had given to them. "My father is always so full of himself. I dislike him passionately," Princess Ada remarked. "Let's bring him down, my dear husband," she continued. Chuka was taken by surprise. "What do you mean, my lovely wife?" "I don't quite understand," he replied, puzzled. "You see, I've always desired to be king. But according to our tradition, a woman can never be king. So, I want you, my husband, to become the king of this great kingdom. Then, we can have power and do as we please," Princess Ada explained. "But, my wife, how can we achieve that? Your father, the king, is still alive. We can't possibly kill him, can we?" Chuka asked, surprised. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. Let's get rid of that old man," Princess Ada declared. "You see why I married you. We think alike," Chuka said with a sinister laugh as they plotted their evil plans together. Unknowingly to Chuka and Princess Ada, one of their maids overheard their conversation. Shocked by what she heard, she hurried to the king's palace and narrated everything to him. The king was shocked at what the maid had just revealed. He couldn't believe that his own daughter would plot to get rid of him. The king then summoned Obi and recounted the maid's report to him. "I'm not surprised, my king. I know my brother Chuka. He will do anything to gain power," Obi remarked. "What shocks me is your daughter, the princess. How could she even consider harming her own father, who has done nothing wrong to her?" The king, fully aware of how powerful Chuka's warriors are, was deeply troubled. Sensing the king's distress, Obi reassured him, promising that Chuka's warriors would be no match for him. With unwavering confidence, Obi assured the king that he would defeat them all. That night, as Obi lay awake, the familiar voice spoke to him once more. This time, it instructed him to stretch out his hand. To his amazement, a native chalk appeared in his palm. The voice then directed Obi to ensure that the chalk was used to cook for Chuka's warriors. If they consumed the food prepared with the chalk, they would be stripped of their powers. Determined to protect the king and their kingdom, Obi resolved to carry out the instructions given to him by the mysterious voice. The very next day, Obi went in search of Chuka's maid, the brave one who had revealed their evil plans to the king. Handing her the special native chalk, Obi explained what the mysterious voice had instructed him to do. With determination in his heart, he asked the maid to help him by adding the chalk to the warrior's food. When she returned to Chuka's house, the maid quietly slipped into the kitchen. Luckily, the main chef had left for a moment, leaving the kitchen unguarded. Acting quickly, the maid poured the chalk into the pot of food, making sure it mixed in completely. As the delicious smell of the meal filled the air, Chuka's warriors eagerly sat down to eat. Little did they know, the chalk hidden in the food held a powerful secret. Shortly after eating, the effects of the chalk began to work. One by one, the warriors started to feel drowsy and fell into a deep sleep. They were completely defenseless against any danger that might come their way. Under the cover of darkness, Obi and the king's loyal warriors launched a surprise attack on Chuka's camp. Despite putting up a fight, Chuka's warriors were no match for Obi's well-prepared army. With victory on their side, Chuka and Princess Ada were captured and brought before the king to face the consequences of their actions. Standing before the throne, they realized that their days of deceit were finally over, and they would pay for their betrayal. In a solemn decree, the king ordered that Chuka and Princess Ada be banished from the village forever. The crowd erupted in cheers as the wicked pair left the palace in disgrace. With Chuka and Princess Ada gone, the king turned to Obi and bestowed upon him the honor of becoming the second in command. The village was then divided into two parts, with Obi and his wife, Princess Chika, chosen by Obi before his imprisonment, tasked with overseeing one part. Filled with joy and gratitude, Obi and his parents celebrated alongside the villagers. They sang and danced, rejoicing in the newfound peace and justice that had been restored to their village. This story teaches us that being honest, brave, and loyal is always better than being deceitful and treacherous. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll be supporting us in creating more awesome content like this. And be sure to like, share, and turn on post notifications so you never miss out on our latest stories. Let's work together to reach 500 subscribers. Thanks for watching.